Hi everyone, thanks for all your kind comments yesterday following our video on Nancy Ward and Dragon Canoe. Today, we are going to be learning about the remarkable contributions of the Scotch-Irish and German settlers of Watauga to the American Revolution. So by now it's 1780 and the American Revolution has been dragging on for 4 years, and unfortunately for the British, it is not going like they had anticipated. So they develop a new strategy called the Southern Strategy. And with this plan, they are going to march their British Army north through the southern colonies. Their idea is they will gather more people to their cause because they believe the southern colonists are much more loyal to the crown than their cousins in the northeast. Spoiler alert, they weren't. Well, in charge of this Southern Strategy is Patrick Ferguson. You can probably tell by looking at Ferguson. He is accustomed to the finer things in life. In fact, he even had a solid silver whistle that he wore around his neck so that in the heat of battle, he could blow out orders and commands on his solid silver whistle. Well, Ferguson, he has no respect for the Watauga settlers. He knows nothing about their culture. He knows nothing about their lives. He knows nothing about their hard work and hardships to turn that wilderness into homes. He considers them backwater barbarians. Well, he sends a message to the Watauga people that sounds something like this. I'm going to march my army north and lay waste to your countryside with fire and sword. Well, that's the message that John Sevier receives. He doesn't take too kindly to it. He doesn't respond the way that Ferguson anticipates. So what Sevier does is he decides to form a militia. And in a matter of days, they've gathered 1,000 men for this army, which wasn't really an army. It was just ordinary citizens forming together. Well, the people inside the Watauga Association, they set to work, sewing clothes, gathering food. There was even a lady in Watauga, Mary Patton, whose family had owned a gunpowder mill in the Northeast. She knew how to make gunpowder. This girl had skills. She made 500 pounds of gunpowder in a matter of days. Well, now they're ready, and they decide the best defense is an offense. They're not going to sit there and wait on Ferguson and his men to show up in Watauga. They're going to Ferguson. So they're ready to head out. And the rifle-toting minister Doak, he sends them out with this fiery sermon about their brethren over the mountain are crying out for help, and God forbid they should ignore them and go forward in the full strength of your manhood and stuff like that, to get them all fired up. So off they head, this militia. And they're not soldiers, they're tradesmen and they're merchants and just long hunters. They don't know much about the army life, but what they do know is the mountain life. And they know those hills, and they know those rocks, and they know the trees and the caves, and they've learned a thing or two from fighting the Cherokee for all those years. In fact, they adopt the Cherokee motto, fight strong, run away fast. So they set out. In a matter of 2 weeks, they covered 330 miles. They didn't pause for food. They didn't pause for rest during the last 24 hours of that march, which occurred in the driving, pouring, drenching rain. Their horses were mired up. They were soaked to the bone. Their only concern, keeping that gunpowder dry. Now, sometimes we think we have it bad. We think we're suffering hardship. We're really not. Look back through the course of American history at the terrific hardships that men and women have suffered for the betterment of this nation. When you measure our time against that, we really don't have it so bad. Well, finally, Sevier's men come within range of Ferguson, and they've learned that he's taken the top of a mountain, which by Tennessee standards is really a hill, but it's named Kings Mountain. And Ferguson says this, only God Almighty himself could drive me from the top of this mountain. Probably shouldn't have said that. It's not ever wise, really, to brag about what you're going to do. I think Abraham Lincoln said The chicken is the wisest of all creatures because it doesn't cackle until after it's laid the egg. Ferguson probably should have taken that advice. Well, Ferguson and his men are on top of the mountain, and here comes Sevier and his militia. They form around the base of the mountain, and their leaders tell them, look, guys, scream loud, fight hard, and if you have to run away, don't run away too far. So they take those orders. And Ferguson sends his men down the hill, Sevier sends his up the hill, and they clash. And the militia falls back. They do this 3 or 4 times, and through all of the chaos of the battle, they reported they could hear Ferguson's silver whistle shrilling out. Finally, through their perseverance, the militia overruns the British army. Ferguson is killed in the process. His army falls into disarray without their leader, and they surrender to the American militia. Now, today, historians consider the Battle of Kings Mountain the pivotal moment in the American Revolution because it put an end to the Southern strategy and really to the end of the British war against the American revolutionaries because it turned the tide of the war. Teddy Roosevelt said later, it was a remarkable turning point in history. Here was this ragtag bunch of ordinary citizens who put an end to the British Army's conquest, and they did it all in an hour. Now, I think I have a pretty fun activity for you to do. We've done this at school before. Take a piece of paper, fold it in half, and then fold it like a wallet. So that when you unfold it, you have 6 squares. And you can name this the Battle of Kings Mountain. In each square, you can draw an event of the story you heard today. Here you can see I drew my idea of Ferguson saying, I will come with fire and sword, and then meanwhile back in Watauga. But you can make yours whatever you want. If you, I forgot to say this too. If you notice, I didn't color mine because I don't have my crayons or colored pencils at home. But you can do lovely work with just pencil sketches. If you decide to do this activity, hey, share your pictures of it. Or have your parents send them to me and I'll share them for you. All right, tomorrow we're going to learn about how Tennessee became a state.